I have returned, my friends. I am back from EA Play and E3. I had the chance to get up close with Anthem while I was in Los Angeles and Hollywood and get a complete look at live gameplay. I had an absolutely epic time, but in this video, we're going to be checking out everything I noticed about my close-up with Anthem. What's going on, freelancers? Sly here, back at it with another Anthem video for you all. And the time has come, my friends. We've waited a full year with virtually zero news, and now there is news aplenty. Tons of stuff to dig into, to discover, and to pry from the developers. So in this video, we're going to be doing two things here. First, we're going to be taking a look and breaking down the E3 trailer. And since the live demo I saw is the exact same mission they used for the trailer, I'm going to combine what I saw up close along with breaking down the trailer to try and give you guys the most information possible. The trailer shown at the press conference was actually pretty small compared to the mission itself, and once you see the demo, you realize how much they really skipped over. Tons of hidden corners, small bosses, flying, weapons, tactics, and of course a huge boss fight at the end, which the trailer skipped over entirely, but I actually got to witness. Now, no one was allowed to capture live gameplay, so I have to use the trailer as my background footage. So I thought, why not combine the two, and that is exactly what I plan on doing. This way I can give you guys the most info possible while also killing two birds with one stone. I had the opportunity to watch some light mechanics, tactics, abilities, tons of scenery, and an awesome use of the Colossus Super or Ultimate ability, something that was amazing and I'll get to a little later on. Now, one quick thing before we start, there's tons of news that really does not fit into this video. So keep an eye for my Anthem news update video, which I will be making right after this is uploaded. Also, if you haven't watched my E3 experience video, I uploaded that as well sometime yesterday, and there's a giveaway at the end of it. So if you guys want some E3 swag, watch the video, comment down below, and hopefully you'll win. The link for both of these will be down below and also at the end of this video. Alright guys, so without further ado, let's get this bad boy started. So just as a quick refresh guys, the premise of Anthem is simply this. We are freelancers, unique exosuit pilots that are uniquely adapted to use the Javelin Suit, which is an old technology that has been handed down from humans who started building on this planet ages ago. Over the years, these suits have been modified and fitted to suit the needs of this ever-changing planet. Which, by the way, as a side note, I wouldn't be surprised if it's Earth itself, but it's set somewhere deep in the future. Anyways, the old gods, as the population calls them, use this powerful technology called Shaper Tech. The giant structures that you see all over Anthem, as well as the relics and storms that come to life within the game, these are all left over from the old gods, and this Shaper Tech is clashing with a mysterious force that's known as the Anthem of Creation. Behind the scenes struggles of the Shaper Tech and Anthem is what's creating the chaos on this planet. It's mutating the flora and fauna, it creates an ever-changing landscape, and tons of different types of enemies. Everything from wyverns to butterflies, scars to ancient guardians, all have been affected by this struggle between the gods' technology and the Anthem of Creation. And this is exactly why we need to use the Javelin Suits if we are to venture outside the solid walls of Fort Tarsis. So there will be 4 suits available at launch. We have the Ranger, Colossus, Interceptor, and then the Storm. Now, the first suit everyone's going to be able to get at the start of the game is the Ranger, and the rest become available as the story progresses. So in this trailer, we see one of those walking beasts that's knocked over in last year's E3 trailer, and this thing is called a Strider. Think of Striders as mobile FOBs. FOB is a forward operating base. It travels around the major areas of the world, and you can launch your Javelin from here, as well as fixing it, modifying it, etc. Now, not a lot is known about the other things that will be present within the Strider, but it's best to simply think about this thing as like a mini Fort Tarsis. The world of Anthem is absolutely massive. It has many, many layers, upwards, below you, underground, underwater, as well as all the stuff in land and in caves. So having a base that walks around and is close by all the time is something you're definitely going to need. It's much better than having to fly from Fort Tarsis all the way across the map back to where you left off. So the Strider is going to be the answer to that problem. Now, the guy you see right here is kind of like your pit boss. He's always in the Strider with you. Now, I wasn't allowed to take any pictures or capture anything, so I'm doing the best I can here from memory. I forget his name. I should have written it down on my phone, but in any case, he's part of like your crew that helps you out, keep your Javelin up to date and everything. Now, there are 3 people in the Strider, as well as a guy that helps you out during the mission named Owen. But they were edited out of this E3 trailer, while the one I got to see, they were still there. We're not really sure the parts they play yet, but I'm assuming it's all going to be story related. So in this trailer, we're going out to locate weaponized acid in a mission or quest called Scars and Villainy. Someone or something is making this stuff, and of course it's causing problems, so we need to go and find it, and as freelancers study it and eliminate it. As you can see here, our team consists of two colossi, I think it's colossi, one ranger, and later in you will see a storm pop up. Now as we fly around, one thing to take note and something I was really impressed by are the textures. Notice how you do not see texture popping. This world is impressively detailed, and with so many textures, one would think there would be texture popping all over the place. You know, it'd be like texture popping heaven, or at the very least frame lags. But none of this is present, which is pretty impressive. And this is running in-game in-engine. Now as we travel, different suits along with different upgrades will handle flying differently. The Colossus is a big tanky beast, whereas the Stormer Interceptors are lighter and faster. Each suit can overheat while flying, and the cool thing is that you can use the land to your advantage. Flying into a waterfall cools off your rig, allowing you to fly further. If you fly underwater, the cooldown goes away completely because your suit's constantly being cooled. However, now you have limited oxygen, so you can't stay down there forever. It's a pretty smart system the way they designed it. Also, notice the bar at the very bottom of the screen here. It grows in length, starting in the center and then branching out left and right. It's kind of hard to see, but there is a limit on how far it can branch out before you need to cool it off. And also notice that once it hits the waterfall, it shrinks back down. That's what I was talking about earlier about using the land to your advantage. So as we start, let's go ahead and take a look at the HUD. Now we have two weapons right here, which looks to me like a primary and then a heavy weapon. You then have your abilities in the second row, which are tracking rockets and your mortars, and then your melee ability. Finally, down at the very end, this is your ultimate or super ability bar, something we'll touch on a little bit later in the video. Now, if you've ever played Mass Effect Andromeda, Anthem has a really similar style to it. The radar is pretty much pulled right out of MEA, and you'll also notice certain characteristics that they both share when playing the game. Also, one thing about the world of Anthem is that it is a shared world, in which everyone will see the exact same thing. If there's a Shaper Storm, it happens to everyone all over the world. If there's a massive tornado, again, it happens to everyone on every server worldwide. What this does is it allows Bioware to instantaneously drop worldwide events or quests at the flick of a switch, and it happens to everyone, everywhere at the same time. So if someone decides that this week might be a good time to start a world event, then they can easily make that happen. When it's nighttime, it's night for everyone. This is how Bioware plans to keep things fresh by introducing things like similar to bounties, quests, boss fights, public events, etc. So being able to do things instantly for everyone, that's pretty awesome. Alright, so as we continue on with the trailer, we enter this cave, and also notice the two loadouts here. One has a more firepower heavy setup, while the other one has a lighter loadout. We have an LMG and a grenade launcher on the Colossus, while the Ranger has a small sidearm and an assault rifle. Now, whether or not there will be like a Mass Effect style cooldown system, where perhaps the heavier your gear, the less you can fly without overheating it, or the longer it takes for your abilities to recharge, that I'm not quite sure of yet, but that would be a great way to make your weapon choices matter. Also, notice the different set of abilities here. These are important, as we'll talk about something else towards the end of the video. So as we get to this part of the cave, the Colossus uses his grenade launcher to blow up the tower. However, at the EA Play demo, I was asked whether or not I wanted to see it destroyed or taken out quietly. I of course said blow that shit up, but going in quietly was supposed to help you out in a unique way. Perhaps it's the ability to catch your enemies off guard, but knowing Bioware, it's probably something pretty sneaky. Anyway, that is just one example of how you can play any way you want. Or you can skip it completely. That was also an option. As the trailer progresses, let's take the time to appreciate this area. I mean, look how detailed this place is, and just how big this cavern is. Birds in the sky, animals down below, enemies everywhere, tracer rounds flying off in all directions, buildings, trees, and this is one simple quest. Nothing even really that significant. So with the rest of the world still to yet be explored, it shows you just how ambitious Bioware was when building this game. I think that's pretty freaking awesome. But not as awesome as this next part. And for those who follow my channel since the announcement of Anthem a whole year ago, this is something I was explicitly hoping for in my wishlist video. As the trailer continues, we jump over to the Ranger, which is a little bit further ahead than our Colossus. It passed the large tower, but as it clears the area, flies right into a massive enemy. But notice the top of the screen, guys. This is no ordinary boss. We've entered into a world event. This ancient guardian is known as a Titan. During the demo, all of the javelins were at level 30 except for one, Talk about that a little later, but I'm assuming level 30 might be as high as you can go. After that, it's probably all about item level. Now that's complete speculation, so take that as a guess, not as a fact. Now the reason why I say this is because as the 3 level 30s flew by the Titan, the developers said that this thing is way out of your league and that your gear isn't high enough. Now he didn't say your level isn't high enough, but your gear is not high enough. So that to me says that there will be some kind of item level once we get to the end game. But once again, I can't say this for sure. Anyways, how awesome is this thing, guys, right? I mean, Bioware must have read my mind, because this is exactly the kind of beast I was hoping for. You know, not some medium-sized dude with a shield and a yellow bar, a true freaking giant that needs a fully maxed out team to take out. Not something that one dude with an assault rifle can go knock out real quick. Something really challenging. And it looks like this might be it. The way it looks, sounds, and its abilities, all of it shows that they put a lot of effort into how this beast presents itself, which is nothing but good signs in my eyes. Anyways, we of course fly by the beast, and in the demo at EA Play, we flew right between its legs and barely missing being lasered out of the sky and stomped on, which was pretty cool. Also notice how the Ranger uses its super here and it doesn't even put a dent into its health. That's an indication of how boss fights will work in Anthem, even more so with endgame bosses. They are incredibly tanky, but like I said, we'll get to that a little later on. So as we fly by, this is where things get interesting. In order to get to our location, we have to take an underwater passage. Once again, notice the bar on the bottom of your screen. The overheating mechanic is now replaced by an oxygen meter. Now, according to the developers, there are mods that will allow you to fly further for longer and be able to stay underwater for longer as well. So for those that want like a scuba tank Colossus, you will definitely be able to make one. As we swim through this cave, once again, notice the detail here, guys. If it wasn't for this mission, you could have flew by this small puddle on the ground and not even noticed what's underneath here. It's absolutely packed with details, native animals, etc. So once again, it looks incredible, and this trailer does Anthem absolutely no justice. You won't really appreciate how good this game looks until you see it on your own TV or computer monitor, and trust me on that one. Now in this trailer here, they edited out a ton of this area, but there are loads of enemies between the beginning and where we are now. Lots of dark corners, long caves, a lot of things to jump over, crawl under, lots of enemies. So you don't get to see a lot here, but trust me, there's about 5 to 10 minutes of fighting between where we just went and where we are right now. Now, as we enter this cave, the Colossus will use its shield to just tank its way through these mines. But notice that when you use the shield, it does not trigger an ability. So this shield will be something you can use without a cooldown. And from what it looks, each class will have a certain ability that is specific to that class of Javelin. Something that's kind of intrinsic to that build. After they clear out the mines, the E3 demo continued with these dark, creepy caverns lighted by bioluminescent animals and of course, lots more enemies. After you kill them, you end up diving back into the water and then we ascend to where we are now. So even though this trailer speeds by really quickly here, in reality, this encounter takes a little bit of time to complete. Probably like, 5-8 minutes, something like that. The demo I was shown showcased how Anthem's team play would help you advance in this world laced with dangers. Because in this area there are snipers on cliffs, anti-air guns in the back, and various pockets of enemies located around the site protecting these echoes. The idea here is that you have to turn off this Shaper relic. Shaper items are the leftover pieces you see all around you. All the gigantic alien structures you see in Anthem, that's mostly Shaper technology left over from the quote-unquote old gods. This technology and the mysterious force called the Anthem of Creation is what everyone's fighting over. And of course, in this mission, they're combining it with some kind of acid to make some kind of weapon of mass destruction. So in order to turn off this relic, you have to go around and collect these things known as echoes. Think of them like orbs from Destiny or the things you can pick up in the Division. You pick them up, then put them into a receptacle. Well, here you have to get a sufficient number of echoes and then deliver them into these crystals that you see right here. All the while, the rest of your teammates are suppressing the cannons and snipers to help you achieve your objective, of course as a team. Once you beat down the right enemies, you walk over these orbs, then they kind of float up behind your head on top of your back. That's how you carry them around. Once you see that you've collected enough of them, you then fly over to the crystal, walk over it, and it automatically drops them in. Once you deliver all 6 echoes, the crystal explodes and that turns the relic off. Now, one cool thing I wanted to mention, or at least it's cool for right now, is that in the demo at E3, the storm that was actually used is a level 4 character, while everyone else is maxed out at 30. Anthem's world is built in such a way that you can hop in with your friends no matter your level, and the entire world will cater to your level regardless of who's in your team. So in the demo, we have a party leader that's level 30, along with the 2 other teammates that are level 30 as well. However, the Storm here is only level 3 or 4, but as you can see, they're still able to help out due to the scaling of the enemies and the world around you. So no matter what your friends' levels are, they can help you out anytime throughout the campaign. And you in turn can also still help them out while still being challenged. So I thought that was pretty awesome. It doesn't matter if you jump into a level 3, a level 30, level 10, your enemies scale with you, so it's always going to be a fun experience. Now as for the end game, I'm pretty sure it's going to be level based, period, because otherwise what's the point of end game content, right? But Bioware really hasn't dived into any of the end game stuff yet, so that's something I really can't wait to see. So yeah, pretty cool stuff for the casual players out there that still want to run around with friends who are more hardcore into Anthem. Also, another thing I wanted to point out, the health bar for the character is at the top left of your screen. You can see that the Colossus has tons of smaller health bars, while the Storm only has 2 large ones. One of the devs at EA Play actually described the Storm as a glass cannon, so that's one thing that definitely piqued my interest. But anyways, another cool thing to take a look at is as you take damage, your suit starts to physically break down, and it shows in-game. For instance, you see someone with full health standing there all nice and shiny, but look at this Ranger. It's taken quite a lot of damage, and you can see that small bent pieces are sticking out and sparks are coming out of the suit itself. Apparently, this was hard to develop and create due to all the customizable pieces and modifications you're going to put into your suit, not to mention the shaders on top of that. But it looks like they did manage to get it in-game, which is absolutely awesome. Alright guys, so as we progress the trailer, one of the Colossuses ends up switching weapons, as you can see here. They end up having like a Phoenix type of build, all fire abilities, which you'll see them be used here in a second. Now the next thing I wanted to go over is something that I think will be extremely important within Anthem, especially when endgame comes around, and that's the combination attacks or combos. Here we see our first major enemy that we can fight. Now just like other games, it has a yellow health bar along with a special symbol above it to show that this guy is no joke. This enemy is called a Legendary Enforcer, and it's similar to a Colossus. It's a big, beefy, tank-like enemy with a giant shield. Now like I said earlier, the non-trash mobs of Anthem are tanky as hell, and it takes a lot of teamwork to slowly whittle them down. Add a shield into the mix and it makes teamwork even more important, and this is where combos come into play. Now they didn't show it within this trailer, but the dev build I saw, they took on a couple of these guys, and combination attacks are the key to taking these things down quick. The best way to optimize your DPS is going to be some kind of special combo, so finding that best combo is going to be one of the first things I'll explore when the game launches, aside of course from the world itself. So as you see here for this combo, the Ranger launches a freeze grenade and then immediately uses all of its rocket, all while the teammate next to it, the Colossus, uses its mortar abilities, and those 2 abilities combined drastically increase the amount of damage you're capable of putting out. Also, yes, you can self-combo, so choosing the appropriate loadout of weapons and abilities will be another important aspect to endgame play. As I just said a little bit ago, notice how the Ranger threw the freeze grenade and then immediately went to use one of its abilities? Well, it doesn't show it here, but the Ranger was actually setting itself up for a combo move. It's just that the Colossus also helped combo with it. So the Ranger combos, while the Colossus uses the Ranger's freeze to also combo off of it. 2 combos together will wipe the map of just about any small-time enemy. And again, this is how you tackle yellow bars or massive bosses. As we progress a little farther, for the first time we actually get a view of Storm in action. Again, notice the loadout, lightweight weapons and more elemental abilities rather than grenades and rockets. And take a look at its flight bar. Even while teleporting and flying around, its bar is barely growing. Also, you can hover with Storm infinitely without overheating the suit, which I thought was pretty awesome, because all the other suits will start to overheat while hovering in air. Now I can't say that for sure about the Interceptor because we haven't seen it in action yet. Perhaps there'll be an upgrade or modifications to where we can eliminate it or at least tune it down so it runs cooler, but as for right now, the Storm seems to be the only one that can float infinitely. Like I said, no word yet on the Interceptor. Now I was able to talk to a few people who got to go hands-on with Anthem instead of just a backstage look at it like I was given. Supposedly the flight mechanics are super intuitive and everything flows together naturally. The shooting mixed with flying and hovering, apparently everything is extremely crisp and playing the game just feels really, really good. The things you can do while firing your weapon seem to be pretty impressive, and once everyone learns how to maximize their movements in their suits, I think we're going to see some pretty impressive moments from the community. Alright guys, so moving on here, next up I wanted to point out loot. Now they didn't really show a lot of this in detail, but loot drops individually, and they show up as these floating triangles. The smaller, less rare stuff will show up on the middle right side of your screen, as you can see here. But the larger, more exotic stuff will show up kind of like Destiny. It'll have its own unique sound and flashes right in the middle of the screen. Now in the dev build I saw, they were picking up all kinds of things off the ground, but they had them turned off. So I'm not 100% sure what all of these items do. I know ammo is of course one of them, and then there's going to be common and rare loot. So far we have not seen the next level stuff this year, besides Jura's Wrath or whatever from last year, but I'm sure we'll know it when we see it. There are also these red triangles, which as well I have absolutely no idea what they're for, but all in good time I suppose. Anyways, as you can see here, we collect all of the echoes, which is this thing on the Freelancer's back. It gets dropped off, and then the relic is silenced. Now the next step is to head underground, and this is where I was given a pretty extended look, but it was mostly just weapon usage, abilities, and lots of trash mobs, along with like 5 or 6 yellow bar bosses. Teamwork and combos are definitely the way to go when handling these tanky bosses. But the environment here, guys, this environment never fails to impress. Even at the depths of the cave, there's always something that just draws my eye and wows me. And what's impressive about it is that this area is a combat area. It's not even something that's going to get a lot of attention because all of the players will be focused on fighting. So to see detail like this in areas that will hardly get any attention, that just goes to show you what it's going to look like when they want us to focus our attention on something. So that was also pretty impressive. Alright freelancers, so as you progress this mission, notice that as soon as you lift up off the ground and you're not in combat, the HUD goes away except for your radar. This is to give you a better look at the area and your surroundings with a clear, unobstructed view. It also helps out a lot when you're trying to find hidden items or passages throughout the world. So this entire area that we're now flying through is known as a stronghold. Now one thing that needs to be cleared up is that this is not a raid. I've seen YouTube titles from other videos calling these strongholds raids. This is not the case, and they are more akin to like maybe a small-time dungeon or a strike within Destiny. The bosses may be tanky, and there might be some light maneuvers or mechanics in play, but these are only super light mechanics in here. And this isn't even within the end game of Anthem. Raids are something we'll talk about at another time, hopefully. So as the trailer progresses, we get to the end of the stronghold, and out comes our first big boss battle of Anthem. Now the official trailer stops here, but in the demo we actually got to fight it, and this thing is no joke, guys. Its health pool is extremely large. Think of like Division kind of tanky large. That's kind of like what we're dealing with here. Also, the amount of ads that come out is quite overwhelming. Its weak point are the big sacks on its back, and then once they break, smaller weak points show themselves, and then we have to try to aim for those. Now the boss fight actually takes quite a long time to finish. There are multiple stages to this guy, and we weren't allowed to see the final stage of this fight either. So I think that it either transforms into another version, or it leads us deeper into the stronghold where we have to track it down and then finally kill it. Now when I say health being tanky, I mean that like all 4 javelins were shooting every weapon and using every ability for like 3 to 4 minutes straight, and it didn't even take its health down a half of the first bar. And there are quite a lot of bars to go through until it's dead. So that's just to give you guys an idea. Now the thing I was most excited about was not only how the team was using its combos to deal the most damage possible, which by the way is where most of the damage comes from at first. The weapon damage was pretty insignificant, but also I was impressed by how kind of like an MMO-esque style of play starts to come out. The reason you see 2 Colossuses, however you pronounce multiple Colossus, but the reason you see 2 in this trailer is because at the end they were being used as tanks. Both of them had the shield equipped like you see here. And I think that when the shield is deployed, the Colossus will attract enemies to it as well as take the boss's aggro, which is pretty much an MMO term for basically taking all the damage of the boss as well as its attention away from everyone else and focusing it on you. That way you can manipulate it to open up its weak points for your teammates so they can deliver maximum damage as well as keeping them safe from its abilities. So when the shield deploys, it probably has something like an increased threat level or something like that. However, the cool thing about this part is that they actually had to take turns, because at least for these builds, there was no extra armor or shielding they could apply to heal themselves. As they became weaker and weaker, they had to communicate when to switch out. And so as the other Colossus jumped in and took the boss's aggression, the other would then hop out and help to apply or take advantage of combination damage to the boss. This boss has multiple stages and would retreat several times to lick its wounds and then all of a sudden appear right behind you after a bunch of ads and a couple yellow bar majors go down. But the one thing I was extremely impressed by were the ultimate abilities or supers of the javelins. The bar you see at the bottom right will slowly fill, and from the looks of it, different javelins will fill in differing amounts of time. The Storm seems to fill the fastest, while the Ranger fills a little slower than the Storm, but the Colossus, however, the Colossus takes the most time to fill up its super bar. However, when it does fill up, holy shit does it put out massive amounts of damage. This is the first time a game gives a player something that is truly an ultimate ability. Remember how I said it took like 3 to 4 minutes of shooting and combos to get the boss's first health bar down to just half? Well, one ultimate ability from the Colossus drains the same amount of health from 3 minutes of shooting, if not more, with one ultimate ability. It's like a mini nuke going off, guys. The screen explodes with fire and bright white all around you, the bass like pounds in your chest, and as the smoke clears, you see the boss try to stand back up as it staggered from so much damage. As I wiped the goosebumps off my arm, I knew that this game was going to be freaking awesome. This is the first time we've actually seen an ability being used on a boss, and it was impressive. Now, even though the trailer itself didn't show it, the demo did, and I think I also caught a glimpse of the Storm Super as well. You can see the Ranger use it here, but it was used on a Titan, so it basically did nothing, and once again, this is with a lower item level. So it wasn't really a good demonstration. Now, once again, guys, this is speculation, because they did not go into full detail on how the ultimate ability cooldowns really worked. However, I did notice that the Ranger and Storm seemed to have their ultimates ready all the time, while the Colossus really only had it up a few times. So we're definitely going to have to wait and see for more information. However, the Storm's ultimate is exactly what the name implies. It's a storm of electricity, and it devastates a huge area with chaining lightning. However, because it looks like it can be used more frequently, it doesn't seem to do as much damage as, say, the Colossus. Once again, this all comes from observation and not from a developer telling me this or from Bioware. So take this lightly, because I could be wrong about it. This is just simply stuff I noticed from the demo at EA Play. Now, if it does work out that the Storm can use its ultimate more often, that means it creates way more opportunities to combo off of it, which is something you will definitely need to do. So, this also begs the question, can you combo 2 supers together to create something insane? I absolutely hope so, my friends, but I really do not have the answer to that. Now, I know this video is getting long, but there are a couple things I want to point out here at the end. There are various enemies within Anthem. We of course have the Scar, but also enemy factions, and there's another enemy race announced at the demo called the Dominion, which are enemies we have yet to see. Perhaps this might be an image of one right here. The Dominion are trying to weaponize the Anthem of Creation, and of course freelancers are here to stop them and protect the free citizens of Tarsus. Now, besides the Scar and the Dominion, there are many differing types of enemies within this game, which also creates a lot of diversity in how you're going to play the game. Different enemies have different abilities and traps, which all call for different modifications or different javelins altogether. So it's going to be neat to see all of the different enemies, their architecture, attacks, weapons, etc. Another thing that gets me excited for a new IP is not just the game itself, but the universe that gets created around it. One of the main reasons why I liked Mass Effect, just because of the universe we were playing in. So wrapping things up, guys, I was actually worried going into E3 and EA Play that Anthem might be behind schedule. But talking to various people and seeing this demo along with how polished it really was, I am completely reassured that this game is not only on track, but exactly where Bioware wants it. All those YouTubers who tried to spread fear by freaking out viewers talking about all these employees leaving the company, Anthem is doomed, etc., they were leaving because their job was done, case closed. But that is really about it, guys. I still have tons of questions about loot, the inventory screen, how Fort Tarsus will work, the endgame, weapons, etc. As soon as I know something, you guys will as well. So be sure to have your alerts on, as I plan on making Anthem my main focus going forward. So for those of you who watched my Anthem vids last year after E3, to those of you who are watching now, thank you all so much for your support. And my goal here is to create a very positive Anthem community that loves the game that it plays. It's already happening as we speak, and I am absolutely stoked for the future of not only Bioware, but Anthem as an IP. Anthem releases February 22nd, which is actually earlier than the original launch date set forward of March, so good news all around. Once again, thanks for watching and for supporting the nation. Subscribe for more Anthem, Division 2, and Destiny 2 Forsaken content, as I will be pumping videos out non-stop for quite some time. Feel free to check me out on Twitter or Facebook as well, which is Sly Nation Gaming. Take care, y'all, and keep those eyes open for more Anthem videos coming out here soon. But until then, this is your dude Sly, and I'll catch you all next time.